thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Briefing.
The Israeli Air Force conducted 3 strikes in the Sinai Peninsula this week, according to the ISIS-linked Amaq news agency. The report said the strikes took place in the northern Sinai around El Arish and Sheikh Zweid. An Egyptian news outlet reported that a strike carried out by an Israeli drone killed one ISIS terrorist, the Hamas official liaison with ISIS in Sinai, Abed al-Aila Kishta. The report noted that flyovers by Israeli drones are common, an indication of close collaboration between Israel and Egypt in the war on Islamic terrorists. An unnamed former senior official said this summer that Israel had conducted many drone attacks on terrorist targets in Sinai in recent years, all with Egypt's blessing. Thankfully, shared regional interests, including containing Iran and defeating ISIS in Sinai and Hamas in the Gaza Strip, has led to a blossoming of relations between Israel and Egypt over the past few years. As the end of the month draws near, residents of the Amona outpost, supported by hundreds of protesters, have begun fortifying their settlement. An evacuation order has already been put in place in preparation for the scheduled December 25th demolition. The settlement has been deemed illegal as it's built atop private Palestinian land. The 40 families living in the settlement outpost have been granted monetary compensation for their properties, and at the very least, temporary housing until a new settlement in a different location can be constructed. The residents of Omona don't trust it, though. Accusing the government of being too ambiguous with the wording and not really committing to anything, the demonstrators have instead drawn lines in the sand. Despite fears that violence might break out, like in a similar confrontation in 2006, the protesters of Omona are adamant that they will not behave violently beyond some pushing and shoving, but they are prepared for the possibility of having to be forced from their home. A shooting attack targeted an Israeli car driven by an Israeli woman with 2 kids in the back seat on Wednesday evening. No injuries were reported. The incident occurred northwest of Ramallah, and the IDF immediately launched a search for the perpetrator, who fled the scene. Earlier yesterday afternoon, a 35-year-old Israeli policeman was lightly wounded in a screwdriver stabbing attack near the Lions Gate in Jerusalem. The assailant, a 21-year-old from Beit Surik northwest of Jerusalem, was shot by security forces and was critically wounded. He was taken to Hadassah Hospital where he died from his wounds. A wave of car rammings, shootings, attacks, and stabbings by Palestinian attackers began a year ago, but has declined over the last 6 months, though periodic incidents have persisted. The Israeli chief rabbinate has decided to establish a committee to determine criteria for recognition of rabbis in the diaspora for the purpose of conversion, marriage, and divorce. One of the committee members had been part of the court which refused to recognize a conversion performed by Rabbi Haskel Luxstein, a prominent Orthodox rabbi in the U.S. who converted Ivanka Trump, the daughter of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. In fact, the refusal to recognize Rabbi Luxstein's conversion was one of the reasons the committee was formed. Rabbi Seth Farber, head of the organization ITIM, which helps Israelis navigate the state's religious bureaucracy, condemned the decision of the chief rabbis, saying it gives cause for concern, especially when looking at the committee members and their history. The Iron Dome system protecting Israel is one of the most advanced missile defense systems on Earth. In simple terms, it uses a powerful radar to identify and track projectiles on their way to Israeli territory, and then based on threat assessment sends its own rocket up to destroy the incoming one. Well, now the Czech Republic is interested in that same radar system. According to their defense minister Martin Stropnicki, they've reportedly purchased 8 of them to the tune of roughly $114 million. Made by the Israeli government-run IAI Elta company, the radars can effectively protect up to 3,000 meters or 10,000 feet of airspace. They are expected to arrive anywhere between 2019 and 2021 and will replace the Czech Republic's older Soviet-made models. This deal is just one of many that Israel has boasted of in the last few days as well. In addition to the Czech Republic, Israel has also met with Azerbaijani and Kazakhstani officials earlier this week. Aside from reinforcing the ideals of cooperation, Israel brokered a similar defense and intelligence trade deal with Azerbaijan. The next day, when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with Kazakhstani President Nazarbayev, they also discussed security concerns as they hailed their friendship. Between these ties in Europe and the Middle East, and the resuming of ties with Turkey, this makes for a pretty productive year in Israeli international relations.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.